What's up everyone? I'm Crystal of Vanhalla Adventures and I just completed the Camino Frances. I started in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France and just landed here in Santiago de Compostela. And I'm going to share with you today my final expenses of being on the Camino for 2 full months. Like I mentioned previously, I was on the Camino Frances for 2 full months. This is a lot longer than most people. Most people finish the Camino Frances within 35-ish days. So if you're looking for a super strict budget that is only dorm rooms, this may not be the video for you to help you figure out budget for lodging. However, I will give some tips going over food, foot care, and also some other options within this video. So let's go ahead and dive into the first category, and that is lodging. Like I said, I was in private rooms the whole time but one. My private rooms range from anywhere from albergues, which are similar to hostels, pensions, and also some hotels. In the bigger cities, these were definitely a higher expense, and that's where I chose to do my rest days. One time I stayed in Burgos for 6 days, and Lyon I stayed for 4 days, so those increased my expense. And then I also stayed in Saint Jean a few days prior, and I also decided to stay in Santiago, where I am now, for a few days post Camino so that I could integrate. So I included all these different expenses within this. Now I tried averaging out my day for lodging to about $40. So I did have some of the accommodation as low as $25, and the highest I paid, which is $90. So I would say most of them ranged in between about $35 to $55 per night. And I'm still very grateful for that. And also, if you want some more idea of what the lodging looks like within this price range, I'm going to be doing a video on that. If it is already done, I'll put a card up here and you can watch the lodging video about what the different accommodation looks like at what price point. If you do not see a card up here, be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button as well so you can be notified when that video goes live. So the total for the lodging was $2,950 US dollars. And that's for 2 full months, for 60 days. I actually feel really great about that number, especially since some of my accommodation was very nice. So pretty happy with that number personally. Next up is shoes. So the shoes that I brought, sadly, I ditched right away. I ended up having to ditch them and go down a mountain in flip-flops because they were irritating my feet. I had worn them previously to the Camino, like most people, but found out they were not the shoes for the Camino. Keep this in mind. I'm going to do a different video all about foot care and mention all the different things that I learned and I learned from other people to give you a really well-rounded out advice about foot care. So be sure to watch that video because I think it's going to be a huge help. Your feet are the #1 thing to really think about when walking the Camino. It will make or break basically this experience in terms of you being able to finish. Anyways, I ditched my pair of shoes, sadly, and I bought 2 pairs. So I bought a pair of sandals and I bought a pair of new trail runners. Super happy with my choices on these. So my pair of shoes, I used cash and I couldn't find my receipts for this. So it was about $300 in total for both pairs of shoes, for a pair of sandals and new trail runners. Don't regret this at all. Sadly, I had to do it. I wasn't expecting this expense, but the Camino, sometimes you have to buy things they don't necessarily expect. Okay, next up is luggage transport. Some of you might not use luggage transport. I have to say about 50% of the pilgrims that I encountered while on the Camino ended up using luggage transport once they got here. I'm really happy I did this. It definitely saved my feet, especially during the heat waves. I encountered 3 heat waves here in Spain during the entire time. If you're debating between luggage transport, I highly encourage you to do it, especially if you do not feel you are in the best physical shape, if you're going during the summer, or you just like to overpack. So always know that's an option. You can book it ahead, or you can just wait until you get here. You definitely don't need to do it ahead of time. So the total amount for the luggage transport was $386.44. I'm very happy with this. I would 100% do luggage transport again. Next up is my new backpacking bag. I'm an avid hiker, so I had a lot of different stuff already prior to coming to the Camino. However, my bag broke as soon as I got to St. John, and so I was scrambling, like wondering what I was gonna do. Anyways, there was a Camino store. There is Camino stores. You're gonna find basically every main city is gonna have some sort of Camino store that you can purchase new bags, shoes, and all different items that you will need on the Camino. So I had to buy a new bag, which was a little bit of a bummer, but I did get a really awesome hiking bag, which I'm pretty stoked about. So the amount for that is $184.47. Next on our list is massage and a physiotherapist. I highly suggest getting a massage while you're here in Spain. If you are from the US or Canada or even UK, massage is so much cheaper on the Camino, and your body will thank you just even to get one. By the way, I'm going to list my favorite masseuse that I encountered while I was on the Camino Frances down in the comments below. Brigette, she was absolutely amazing. The massages here are really inexpensive. I had one massage, just to give you an idea, for $30 that lasted 2 hours. It was absolutely incredible. And then I had one massage that was, I think, $60-ish, and that was for just 1 hour. So it kind of depends on where you're going to go and get this massage, if it's going to be in a major city or if it's going to be in a village. But I would say about $30 is what the going rate is for about an hour to 2 hour massage. So the total amount for my massage, and I got a massage from a physiotherapist that also did some leg work for me, did some stretching, absolutely amazing, was $126.32. Well worth the money for that. Next up, this is something that you may need while also on the Camino Frances or on any other route, and that is a podiatrist. I decided to go to the podiatrist not because of blisters, but because I was actually having an issue with my toes and wanted to make sure that I wasn't gonna create any long-term damage. So they made me a custom mold to put into between my toes so that they weren't overlapping each other. So it included making this special kind of silicone mold for me. And I saw 2 different podiatrists. They were very inexpensive. They also they did find out that I had blisters. I didn't even really know. And they popped those as well. And then they cleaned up my feet. It was so nice, well worth the money, and I learned more about my feet as well. If I was in the US, this would have cost like 4 times the amount. So the total for 2 podiatrist visits were $65.44. I was blown away by this number. A doctor in the US, that would have been so much more. And a custom mold, woo! So if you just remember that you might need to go to the doctor while you are in Spain, I would definitely keep this in your budget as like a little cushion. Next up is all items from the pharmacy. You're going to need to buy plenty of places to buy Compeed, Band-Aids, iodine, gauze, and all those different things. So this is the total amount that I spent on Compeed, on this very thick moleskin that the podiatrist recommended, which was amazing, by the way, and gauze and iodine and some other items that I needed at the pharmacy while here. And the total for the pharmacies was $187.70. That was an absolutely necessary expense. Next up was a SIM card. You don't really need a SIM card if you're not planning on using your phone. I found that it was a great just peace of mind for safety in case I needed to call out. So the SIM cards here are very, very inexpensive. I ended up only paying $30 for SIM card, and that included data, text messages, and calling. So it really depends on how much data you're going to be using the entire time on the Camino. Almost every place has Wi-Fi, but sometimes the Wi-Fi is not very good, so just want to keep that in mind. Next up is food and miscellaneous. The reason there's some miscellaneous things in this is because when I went to the grocery store or to the health food store, sometimes I would also buy some personal items like toothpaste or extra deodorant or things of that nature that you just end up going, oh yeah, I totally need to get that. A pair of tweezers that you lost or chapstick and things like that. Most of this was food, and I did eat a vegetarian/vegan diet while on the Camino. This also includes drinks. If you don't drink, this probably wouldn't be that big of a difference because alcohol on the Camino tends to only be about $1.50 to $2 at most per glass or per beer, depending on what you're drinking. So this included 3 meals a day, snacks, and I also want to mention that I did go to health food stores and stock up on some expensive, I guess, items for what most people would consider some more spendy items, like some protein powder, some greens powder. There aren't a lot of vegetables on the Camino, I'll put it that way. Also, if I have a video about all the food that I ate on the Camino, the card will be up here. This category can vary greatly. I know a lot of people tend to try to stick around a $20 to $30 budget per day, and I would say that's a really good amount, is about $20 to $30 a day if you're going to eat out all 3 meals. So I ate out all 3 meals a day for the most part, so keep that in mind. So the total amount for food and some of these miscellaneous items is $2,006.82. The total that I spent for 2 full months on the Camino in having my own room the entire time and not feeling like I was on a strict budget. I had everything that I absolutely needed, and I had some spacious rest days, time to chill out in the big cities, was, drumroll, $6,237.19. So somebody else had listed their amount and it came out to about this price as well. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so much. I had originally planned that I thought it was going to be about $3,000 to $4,000. That definitely did not happen because of some of those expenses that I really wasn't planning on. I feel pretty satisfied with the amount because I've been waiting to come to Spain since I was a very little girl. So I'm okay with this amount. I hope it helps you plan out your Camino Frances adventure in a way that feels exactly to what you are looking for. Of course, everybody's expenses are going to be different. I do want to mention that the items that I did not include in this video are flights. And the reason I did not include flights is because I had miles, I had points that I could put towards my flights. So your flight is going to be very different. The other thing I did not include was travel insurance. Again, this is going to be really particular to you and how long you are gone, or extra medical insurance. Sometimes travel insurance will also cover part of the medical. So I definitely look into that and get a quote for yourself so you can include that into your budget. And then I also didn't include hiking clothes. I didn't include hiking clothes because I'm an avid hiker. I had plenty of stuff. I didn't need to buy anything. So if this is something that you're not used to, you don't have any athletic clothes, you will also want to include that into your final price point. I trust that this video gave you an idea of how much you may spend getting private rooms, eating well, not being on a tight budget, and just kind of relaxing into this time if you're going to do a full 2-month adventure. If you like this video, be sure to like it. If you have any questions at all too, please be sure to put them down below. I am a complete open book about any questions you might have about this experience, even if it's not about the budget. And I'll also put some links down in the description below for some other videos that I think you might find helpful. Blessed be and buen camino.